This podcast was produced as a part of the project supported under Public Diplomacy 2020, New Dimension, being co-financed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland. The publication expresses the views of the authors exclusively and does not represent the official position of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a farmer, I'm a researcher, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So I have my own company that produces innovative tools for agriculture, for irrigation support. So I know agriculture from different viewpoints, let's say. I was also observing the transition of Polish agriculture from the times before the accession to the EU and after the accession. So I'd like to show you my personal view on that. What has changed in Polish agriculture at the turn of the from communism before 1989. Poland was very much agricultural land. We had also a lot of before 1989. Poland was very much agricultural land. We had also a lot of industry. But during the transitions in the 90s, most of the industry was sold to, was privatized. Let's say it's not optimal word. Let's say it was sold to the highest bidder. Let's say, and didn't survive much from the previous extent of the industry. But the agriculture at that point was stated a lot of small farms. Very small farms, even lower than 1 hectare, and there were also some places with state farms. I don't know if you have them in Yugoslavia, but we had some, not as many as in the USSR, where most of the agricultural land was state-owned. This is still the case in Belarus. So those state farms were just abandoned. So they abandoned what they were doing, and so the land was empty in most of the cases. The situation was quite difficult in the 90s. We had at the time very healthy diet because farmers didn't have enough money to buy any chemical stuff for fertilizing and for plant protection. So most of the area was, or let's say a large part of the area was actually old-fashioned agriculture, traditional agriculture, very healthy food, very tasty, and but a lot of area was not farmed. So there were big areas of abandoned lands, and so the succession of the forests were started to grow on this abandoned land. In my village, which used to be, there was almost no trees at that village. The soils are quite poor, so like sands. In the 90s, let's say 40% of the land was afforested naturally. So people just abandoned those sandy soils and went to the cities because it was hard for them to live from agriculture. Previously, this area was known from strawberry production. So it was really difficult times. So we went into 21st century with bettering condition of agriculture, but still with problems, with 40% of population still being bound to agriculture. The average size of a farm before the accession in 2003, it was 1 year before the accession, it was like lower than 10 hectares, it was about 5. And in 2010, so 6 years after the accession, the average farm size was about 10 hectares. So it was a natural condensation, let's say, of farms. So people were buying land from neighbors, and so that the number of farms decreased and the size of farm increased. And after the accession, of course, there were subsidies from EU in the basic payments for the area, but the requirement to get this basic payment is, of course, keeping the land in a good condition, under good agricultural practice. This also induced the process of it regaining the afforested lands, abandoned lands into the agriculture. So people wanted to have this basic payments, so they were planting the land they abandoned previously. There was also a bit organizational issues with that, but slowly it went well organized, and people were quite satisfied from getting those payments, and also a lot of incentives from the EU were presented to diversify the way the people earn money in villages. So instead of everyone having its own 1 hectare farm, the incentives were to start businesses in villages, like you have crafts like bricksmithing, your own companies. So startups, which are very fashionable these days, they have better chances to get financing if they establish if they settle not in the middle of the city or in big city centers, but in villages. And this I also observed. I was working in Belgium for several years. There are also quite a lot of businesses in villages. So they have good communication, of course, in Belgium between cities and villages. So this is not a problem. Now we, throughout these 17 years, like 16 years of being in the EU, the communication in Poland increased. The quality of the communication increased a lot. So we have a really good communication system, and going from village to any center, city center, it's not a problem anymore. So you have very good communication. There are cases that there are people living 100 kilometers from Warsaw right now, working in Warsaw and going there daily. So this is already possible, and people are choosing the healthy diet and healthy lifestyle to live, and good paid jobs in the big cities to earn the money for living. But coming back to the state of agriculture in Poland, we see that there's still a lot of number of farm holdings in Poland. We are just behind Romania in these terms. So we have 1,400,000 farms, quite a lot. And you have average farm holding area is one of the lowest, because there are a lot of farms. Of course, the average farm area is quite low. Again, the lowest Romania and Cyprus, but we are just behind. So we have 10 hectares of average. In 2013, it changes all the time. So the trend is to decrease the number of farms and increase the farm size. So it's going to the more economically sound way. From the accession of the EU, Poland got a lot of funding from the EU. We were net gainers, so we got more than we paid to the budget of the EU. So until 2019, agricultural sector got almost 55 billion euro, of which 34 was for the direct subsidies, and almost 19 for the rural development program. The rural development program is aimed at equalizing the quality of life in villages across Europe. So all those rural development programs are meant to achieve this. But more than 15% of farms didn't actually actively use investment support. So the biggest farmer, really big takers from the support of the EU, I have my neighbor is quite young, innovative farmer. He has 18 hectares, no, 8 hectares, sorry, 8 hectares of blackberry. And he, on his house, you can see 3 or 4 announcements, let's say posters. If you get money from the EU, you have to make the poster of that stating that you have got the money from the European Commission from one of the programs, support programs, has to be on your house. So he has 4 of them, and he has a big tractor, a lot of machinery, and he's very, let's say, rich, but he has to work a lot also to be able to sustain this way of life, way of having a lot of machinery on his farm. So, as I mentioned, the changes in the rural area were quite dramatic. Well, at the beginning of the transformation, we had, before the EU, we had 1,020,000 farms, lower with area lower than 1 hectare, so quite a lot, really. In 2002, there were already 100,000, 50,000 less of those farms, and this, again, I said, this trend is still ongoing. So there are less and less small farms, and more and more bigger farms. But there's also a trend these days, because of the pandemic, that the people are moving from the big cities to rural areas. And this is a big problem, because they come from a dense, populated state. They expect that the village will, the villagers who live there since like 50 years, will accord to what the expectations are. So, for example, like in some areas, this is now difficult to make a harvest in the night, because the neighbors from the city, coming from the big city, they think that the 22 or 10 p.m. is the night. So you're not allowed to make any noise. So the same is with applying manure on the fields, because the smell is not very pleasant for a few days. So there are complaints, and this starts to become quite a big problem in some areas. It's funny if you say about it, but it's not very funny if you are a farmer close to the big city. So really, the Poland underwent this big transition from, let's say, not primitive, but very traditional agricultural state with many small farms into modernized, innovative agriculture. Small farms are held by people working, mostly by people having another way of getting money. So, like working somewhere, and they keep the small farms just to feed themselves, for food for themselves. And there are a lot of, this is a big trend right now. So what is in terms of economic revenues of the farms? You can see that Poland went to EU in May 2004. So you see the export and import grew, let's say, at the same pace, but the balance, the saldo between export and import increased a lot. So we export a lot and we import a lot from abroad, but the saldo is well, much more positive. You can see we have like let's say 1.2, 1.5 billion euro in 2004 in terms of export, and now we have almost 30 billion euros. So it's 30 times what was before going into the EU. Also, the revenue is also like 1, and you have here 9. So now 9 times. So the revenue is, the saldo is 9 times better than it was before accessing the EU. And also, if you see at the villages, you can see that there are a lot of improvements: the water availability, sewage, electricity, gas, communication improved a lot, because there were a lot of structural funds for not addressing directly agriculture, but addressing communication roles. So we had like this improvement, which was very, very important for farming, for agricultural land. And currently, 80% of Polish beef is exported, 45% of poultry, and 30% of dairy products. And as I said, 2 years ago, the value of exports of agri-food products from Poland was about 30 billion euro. Compared to 2004, it was six-fold increase. Well, from the chart, I would say that it was ninefold, but yeah, this is not a detailed number. So it was sixfold. When I talk to farmers, I travel to Poland a lot. I'm an advisor for irrigation advisor, and also I travel a lot as a researcher to discuss with farmers, to also teach them sustainable soil management options, practices. So most of them are satisfied, but let's say Polish farmer is never satisfied enough. So there is also there are also complaints. As you know, every aspect of life, you have positives and negatives, and I think the people are more sometimes too much focused on negatives, didn't see the positives as they think this is a given. So but making a balance of how agriculture changed after accessing the EU, I would say that we are on a completely different level, a very high level. Now, I guess you perfectly know that I cooperated with Serbian partners and Macedonian, I guess, in one of the innovative projects we made from the Horizon 2020. I have to mention also the research prospects. So in my work as a researcher, being able to take part in European projects, it was a huge advance. You have access to the best quality equipment, to high experts across the EU, and it's also quite important sometimes if you don't have any options to get funding in your country because of different relations or bad relations with funding agencies. You can always go to European Commission projects where you are assessed as a professional, not as a linked to something or someone. This is not important at all. So you can really go and make your business or make your institution better. And also there is a strong emphasis on farmers as end users of innovation. This European projects, so farmers are invited as stakeholders to this project, or even as if you have a community of farmers or association of farmers, you can go even as a partner. You can earn some money and also do some good job to improve the life of farmers. The complexity of being a part of the EU is that you cannot. It's not wise to introduce any measures limiting the competitiveness of your agriculture. So if you want to increase the sustainability of agriculture in terms of making it more environmentally friendly, it means that you have to influence also the income of the farmer. So if you do it on the national level, it's certainly a big problem with the audience. So, but in the EU, there are some mechanisms and measures to go on the EU broad and discuss it on a broader level. And if you introduce this kind of measures on the EU level, then the farmers are more willingly to, I guess, to adopt it, because it doesn't hurt the competitiveness of Polish farmer against like Spanish farmer or German farmer, let's say, which work under more or less the same agroclimatic conditions. But coming back to the to your question about ICT to smart farming. Well, smart farming, indeed, most of the jobs of the innovations, let's say, are done in big companies like Class, John Deere, and so on. But Poland has a very favorable, Poland and also Central Eastern Europe has very favorable conditions because we have plenty of good trained, good educated ICT guys. And some say that our region, also Serbia and so the Balkans and Central Europe, we are the black horse of Internet of Things. So there are plenty of startups doing that already. Last year, I was writing a report on smart farming adoption in Poland and also what are the prospects for the 5 and 10 years to come. And so we have plenty of really promising startups already on the market. I'm an owner of one of those. We produce a decision support system for irrigation. This decision support system was also exercised in Novi Sad, close to Novi Sad, on Wodne Wojewodine in Serbia. So we have some experiences also in the very rich soils of this region. Basically, what it does, you put the sensor in your soil. It is wirelessly connected to a central point on your plots, on your farm. It gathers all the information from all the sensors you have there. So normally, if you want to do optimized irrigation, you have to make a zoning of your fields. So then you can adjust irrigation, also fertilization to the soil conditions you have. It's very critical because the soil conditions, they influence the permeability. So how much water, how much fertilizer is going deeper in the soil, and also the water holding capacity. Good profit of going into you is that you have lower rates of GSM, especially when you're abroad. So you have higher competitions. So it induces lowering the price of connection of GSM. I don't know what are the prices right now, but it was quite expensive when I was there some years ago. But well, this system is aimed at being completely independent of any data source. So you have a sensor that tells you what is the water stress in the soil. You don't have to have any other information like meteorological. It does not interest you. In case the only thing you can be interested in is that if you have rain coming, then you should wait with irrigation. But you know, the rain forecast, even in highly paid weather forecast for farming, is still about R squared, about 50%. In case of Enorasis, so the big project, we had three large expert groups from Toulouse, Patras, and Colonia in Germany. So we had really excellent experts and excellent forecast just for every farm. But you can use really normal applications. Some applications are better than others. I'm a hunter, so I'm using also applications for seeing what will be the wind next day, not very much rain, but really hunting applications. I can easily say that they are quite good in predicting both rain and especially wind. I also been using aerial. So if you fly drones, you have also an applications to get the information about weather, but it's not that good as a hunting application. It's very crucial that every tool, every set of tools is tuned for the farm it will be working on. So you have to have a good agricultural advisor or a very good reseller who knows that he will let's induce failure in the farm. The farmer will share this failure with other farmers, and there will be really growing reluctance to use new tools because you know farming is very risky business. It's almost nothing depends on you. Yeah. Only you can use chemistry to catch it up. but normally it's very difficult. So every farm should have the smart farming tools tuned to what they need exactly. So, and you can see plenty of applications for farming in Android, for example, and most of them are useless. People are trying this application, they see that it does not provide any good, does not improve the lives and the lowering the risk of the business they have. So they are just starting to be like, this new technology is not for me. So it is very risky. So to apply also this, we normally in research projects, we have some farmers who are very, let's say, risk-taking. They are willing to take risk in applying new technologies, but I also know what they do. They have a lot of experience with new technologies. And the neighbors are always looking what is happening in this, what is the guy doing, and if he succeeds, then the neighbors will start to apply also this kind of new tools. But if he fails, then this kind of tool is really gone. You have media, you have Facebook, they write that this tool has provided me with problems. I have lost some money on it, you're gone. So it has to be very precisely fine-tuned for the farm. And also the tool has to be developed very, very carefully, not to induce any more risks for the farmers.